Hey everyone, and welcome back to Chat Like a Native. We're all about helping you sound more and more like a native English speaker.
That's right.
And one thing we hear from a lot of our listeners is that they find themselves saying sorry a lot.
Yeah.
Way more than they probably need to.
Happens to the best of us.
Especially in English.
Especially when you're still learning the ins and outs of a language.
Exactly.
It's natural to want to be polite and make a good impression.
For sure.
But overdoing the apologies can actually have the opposite effect.
Interesting.
So today, we're going to dig into why we might end up saying sorry too much in English.
Okay.
And how that can actually impact how people see us.
Interesting.
And most importantly,
Yes.
we're going to give you some practical tips and phrases you can use instead.
Okay. I'm ready to ditch the sorries and level up my English.
Me too.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first, let's talk about why apologies are so important in the first place.
Okay.
I mean, we all know that saying sorry is a fundamental part of good manners.
Right.
It shows empathy,
Mm-hmm.
it shows respect,
Yeah.
and it helps us build strong relationships.
Yeah.
When we make a mistake or accidentally hurt someone's feelings,
Right.
a genuine apology can go a long way.
Definitely.
It helps to repair that damage and maintain those connections.
So true.
But here's where it gets a little tricky.
Okay.
When we start saying sorry for things that don't really warrant an apology.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, think about those times when you bump into someone on the street,
Yeah.
or maybe you accidentally spill your coffee,
Oh, yeah.
or you need to ask someone to repeat themselves because you didn't quite catch what they said.
I do that all the time.
It happens.
It's these little everyday situations where an apology isn't always necessary,
Right.
but we often say it out of habit,
Yeah, it's like a reflex.
almost like a social reflex.
Exactly.
We've been conditioned to say sorry as a way of smoothing over any little bump in the road.
And, it's great to be polite.
Oh, absolutely.
But over-apologizing can actually make you seem less confident.
How so?
Well, imagine you're in a meeting at work,
Okay.
and you're presenting a new idea.
Got it.
But before you even start, you say something like, "Sorry, I'm not sure if this is a good idea, but..."
Oh, I see.
Or, "Sorry to take up everyone's time, but I just wanted to share this quickly."
It's like you're undermining yourself before you even begin.
Exactly.
You're sending the message that you don't have confidence in your own thoughts or ideas.
Right.
And that can make it harder for people to take you seriously.
Absolutely.
Plus, I think it can also diminish the power of your genuine apologies.
Oh, that's a really good point.
If you're constantly saying sorry for every little thing,
Mm-hmm.
then when you actually need to apologize for something important,
Right.
it doesn't carry as much weight.
Like the boy who cried wolf.
Totally.
If you're always apologizing, people might start to tune it out.
Or they might not believe you when you're truly sincere. And another thing to consider is that over-apologizing can sometimes lead to a sense of self-blame.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
If you're constantly apologizing for things that aren't really your fault,
Right.
it can make you start to doubt yourself.
And question your own judgment.
Exactly.
And that can be really damaging to your confidence.
Absolutely.
It's like you're internalizing all these negative messages.
And carrying that weight around with you.
So it's crucial to be mindful of when an apology is truly necessary.
So how do we figure that out?
Well, there are a few key questions we can ask ourselves.
Okay, I'm all ears.
The first one is simple.
Lay it on me.
Was my action actually harmful?
I see.
Did I genuinely do something wrong that negatively impacted someone else?
Right.
If the answer is no,
Yeah.
then an apology might not be necessary.
So like if I accidentally bumped into someone, but they're totally fine.
Exactly.
A simple, excuse me, would suffice.
Perfect example.
No need to go into a whole apology spiel.
And the second question to consider is an apology the most effective way to handle this situation?
Interesting.
Sometimes instead of saying sorry,
Yeah,
it might be more helpful to offer an explanation or a solution.
I can see that.
For example, if you're late for a meeting,
Okay.
instead of just saying, "Sorry, I'm late,"
Mm-hmm.
you could say, "I apologize for the delay, I got stuck in traffic,"
Yeah.
or "I'll be sure to factor in extra travel time next time." It shows that you're taking responsibility
Yeah.
and you're proactive about preventing it from happening again.
Makes you sound more professional and in control.
Exactly.
And the third question we can ask ourselves is, okay, hit me with it.
How will the other person perceive my response?
Interesting.
This is especially important in different cultural contexts
Right.
or in professional settings
Makes sense.
where certain expectations and norms might come into play.
Okay, so let's say I'm working with colleagues from a culture where direct communication is highly valued,
Got it.
and I make a small mistake. In that case, A brief factual statement acknowledging the error might be more appropriate
Exactly.
than a lengthy apology.
Uh-huh.
It shows that I'm taking ownership
Right.
and focusing on finding a solution without dwelling too much on the mistake itself.
Very precisely.
So we've talked about why we over-apologize
Yeah.
and when an apology is really needed.
Yes.
Now let's get to the good stuff.
The juicy
For
part.
practical tips.
Absolutely.
So what can we say instead of sorry?
Well, one of the simplest yet most powerful things you can do is pause
Just pause.
before you automatically reach for that sorry.
Okay.
Take a breath
Got it.
and consider if an apology is truly necessary.
Makes sense.
That brief moment of reflection can help you break the habit
Right.
and choose a more confident and appropriate response.
I like it.
So once you've paused
Yeah.
and you've decided that maybe a full-blown apology isn't needed,
Okay.
here are a few alternative phrases you can try.
Okay. Bring on the phrases.
Instead of saying, "I'm sorry for the delay," you could say, "Thank you for your patience."
Oh, I like that.
It shifts the focus from the negative to the positive.
It's like turning a frown upside down.
Exactly.
You're expressing gratitude instead of taking blame.
And it shows that you value the other person's time.
Nice.
Another example.
Yes.
Instead of, "Sorry, I didn't understand."
Oh, yeah. I say that one a lot.
It's a common one.
It is.
But instead of that, try saying, "Would you mind clarifying that for me?"
Okay.
Or, "I appreciate you explaining that."
Right.
It shows that you're actively listening and eager to learn.
And it doesn't put the blame on yourself for not understanding.
Exactly.
But it's more collaborative.
And here's one more.
I'm loving these.
Instead of, "Sorry, I can't help with that," you could say, "Let's see what we can do to address this."
Oh, that's good.
It shows that you're solution-oriented
Right.
and willing to work together to find a way forward.
Even if you can't personally solve the problem,
Exactly.
you're still being helpful and proactive.
And that's what matters.
So it's not just about changing the words we use.
Right.
It's also about changing our mindset
Absolutely.
and developing a more assertive communication style.
Now, when we talk about assertiveness, it's not about being aggressive or demanding.
Right.
It's about expressing your thoughts and needs clearly while still respecting the other person.
Got it.
So, for example, instead of saying,
Yeah.
"Sorry, but I really can't do that right now."
I'm guilty of that one.
It happens.
It does.
Try something like,
Okay.
"I understand this is important, but I'm currently focused on other priorities."
Okay.
Or, "I appreciate you asking, but I'm not able to take on any new projects at the moment."
So you're stating your boundaries,
Right.
but without being overly apologetic.
Yeah.
And you're providing a reason for your decision,
Exactly.
which helps people understand your perspective.
And then another key aspect of assertive communication is confident body language.
Yeah.
Things like standing up straight,
Mm-hmm.
making eye contact,
Yeah.
and speaking at a steady pace.
It all makes a difference.
It does.
It reinforces your word.
And projects an air of confidence.
So even if you're still working on using different phrases,
Right.
paying attention to your body language can make a huge impact.
Absolutely.
It's all about conveying that inner confidence.
And sometimes that can be more powerful than the words themselves.
I love it.
So another helpful tip is to reflect on past conversations.
Okay.
Think back to those times when you might have over-apologized
Right.
and consider how you could have responded differently.
I can see how that would be helpful.
It's like a little self-assessment
Yeah.
to identify those patterns in your communication style.
And then you can start to practice using those alternative phrases.
Exactly.
So next time a similar situation comes up,
Mm-hmm.
you're already prepared with a more confident response.
And the more you practice,
Yeah,
the more natural it will become.
I like it.
So now let's talk about how this all plays out in professional settings.
Okay, because I imagine the stakes are a bit higher in the workplace.
They can be,
You don't want to come across as unsure of yourself.
especially when you're trying to build your credibility
Right,
and advance your career.
exactly.
So in a professional context,
Yeah.
over-apologizing can sometimes be perceived as a lack of confidence.
Our
You-
competence.
Like you're not sure of your own abilities,
And it can also make you seem less decisive,
which is not a good look for a leader.
especially in leadership positions.
Right.
Where clear and confident communication is essential.
So if you find yourself saying sorry a lot at work,
Yeah,
it's worth paying attention to how it might be impacting your professional image.
absolutely.
And consider those alternative phrases we talked about. To express yourself more assertively
Right.
and project that confidence, that can help you make a stronger impact.
And build those important professional relationships.
I'm all about that.
So to wrap things up,
Yes.
it's all about finding that sweet spot.
Sweet between empathy and confidence.
Okay.
We want to be kind and considerate,
Of course.
but we also want to communicate effectively and project a sense of self-assurance.
So how do we do that?
Well, first of all, remember that reducing unnecessary apologies doesn't mean you're being rude.
Right.
It's about being mindful of your language.
And choosing words that reflect your true intentions.
Exactly.
So instead of saying, I'm so sorry this happened, you could say, I understand this is frustrating. Or, let's work together to find a solution.
Those are great examples.
They acknowledge the situation,
Right.
but without placing blame.
Yeah.
And they show that you're focused on moving forward.
Exactly.
And another key is to be aware of your own patterns. Self-awareness is key.
It is.
Pay attention to when you tend to over-apologize.
Right.
And consider why you might be doing it. Is it out of habit?
Or maybe a lack of confidence?
Or perhaps a cultural difference?
All of those factors can come into play.
And once you're aware of those patterns,
Yeah.
you can start to make conscious choices about how you want to communicate.
Absolutely.
So here's a little challenge for you. I love challenges.
Who doesn't?
Think about the next time you're about to say sorry. Pause for a moment
Take a breath.
and ask yourself,
Yeah.
is there a more confident and effective way I can express myself?
It's a small change.
But it can make a big difference.
Over time.
You'll find yourself communicating with more clarity
More confidence.
and more impact.
And that's what it's all about.
Thanks for joining us today on Chat Like a Native.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye for now.